Boston show.
That's not entirely true. It's only partially.
I mean,
true.
Partially. Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of wrong in that regard.
Oh, your view count doesn't match.
I mean, you have seen your view count, right?
Yeah.
I went there.
Cold-blooded.
Hey,
Yeah,
if you have a cold, you act cold-blooded. That's what I say.
There you go. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have a great show for you today. We have Kirsten Acuna.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome to the
hey, all right, get out of here.
Sorry. My bad. I'm not the host this week.
What a rude ass. Oh, my gosh.
Okay, that is what you get, Ryan.
Okay.
That's what you get.
So how are you guys doing today? Okay, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on our special guest.
Yes, I think we should.
Well, yeah, no. So I mean, sincerely, like, so how was your day, Anthony?
Worked super busy all day.
Nice.
So I got off. Yeah.
No, same for me. I know that Dawson didn't work today, so I'm sure he lounged around the house.
I haven't been able to go to work.
Did not watch the extended editions of Lord of the Rings yet again. He's pushing that off.
Perfect chance.
It's a perfect. It's like, what are you doing this week? I don't know, COVID. And they're like, well, then just watch the Lord of the Rings.
I'm working on my comic book. Thank you very much.
That looks really cool, though.
Yeah, no, really, I love the choice of pink. And so, Andre, what do you think of Anthony's day of work?
I think it's awesome.
Great. I just wanted to keep
I don't understand.
Were you in Georgia today watching me work and shit?
He was. He was like, yo, it's freaking hot up in this bitch. It's like,
dude.
Hot. So, yo, what's up, guys? I just want to jump in the chat a little bit and say hello to you guys here that are watching us today. Thank you so much. Beat Boot says Katsuka. Hey, what's up? Fear Jason's in the chat. We got Philip Barker.
What up, Phil?
Yeah, we got Katsuka. I heard you, Ryan. Hell yes. You know you heard me. Yeah, look at that. Great take, Ryan.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Already.
What's up, Steve? What's up, Caleb?
What's up, Steve?
See, Dawson, you don't look like Rudolph anymore.
Indeed, that is true. I don't know Rudolph today.
Rudolph, what is he talking about? Rudy?
My nose is really red from being sick. Really you know that.
Okay.
Just put a little powder on it.
Got it.
Oh yeah, makeup like I always.
What's up, Anthony? What up? And that movie guy.
What's up?
How's it going? Caleb says Ryan shade on Dawson's stream was tremendous.
You don't need to know what we're talking about. You don't need to know.
You don't even know.
Spittle's up in here. He says, why is there something? I'm sorry. Why is there always something up? I don't know. Why is there always something up?
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay. Well, without further ado, let me welcome our featured guest this episode. We have Kirsten Acuna. Let me bring her in the middle. Drop down Andre because he doesn't belong in that slot. How are you doing today?
Hey guys, I'm doing great. I've had a really busy day. I didn't tell you guys this, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say. I'm just going to tell you guys. I was over at Universal checking some stuff out today.
Oh.
I can't talk about yet.
So they're bringing in the Dark Universe yet again. Gotcha. So they're trying again. They're like, hey, where's Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
We're at the theme park. So I feel like if you're in the theme park space, you probably know what I was doing. Woo! Katsuka. So yeah.
You're like, I went on a tour. Right. I saw Jaws.
I was in Jaws.
I was really feeling a King Kong vibe.
I would just say, is there a certain holiday coming up?
Labor Day. All right.
Yeah, is there a big Labor Day
Go.
celebration at Universal?
I guess there was a lot of labor going on in the park. There you go.
Yeah, so I spent the majority of my morning there, and it's just so hot here today. It's like 100 degrees, so I'm just like,
I feel it.
It's different though.
I feel it.
Yeah. Compared to like the East
Unfortunately-
Coast where it's very humid. Here it's in California. It's just hot.
yes.
Yeah.
Not just
You got
California,
dry
in the
heat,
California.
Yes.
The
Usually it
California.
doesn't bother me. But I feel like today, I don't know if you guys feel this way. I feel like it's like Friday or Saturday already right now because I feel like so much stuff has been happening.
It always
week.
feels like the weekend when we stream. So yeah.
Yeah, between the Spider-Man trailer, between like the Shang-Chi reviews dropping, between all the
Yeah. So let's get into some of that. So number one, I guess, thoughts on the Spider-Man trailer. What were your initial thoughts, and what was the most exciting aspect of watching that trailer for the first time?
Number one, I thought that the craziest thing was that thing leaked the day before, and that the visual effects weren't even finished. Like, that was mind-blowing to me because I had seen some other people saying how they've never seen something like that happen, and I can't ever remember a time where I had seen a trailer that was unfinished like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was
so disappointing. Like, especially because I had known, I had heard things where the trailer was supposed to drop in July, and so I was like, "Oh, okay." When I heard that it leaked, I assumed it was the finished thing, and then I was like, "What is going on here?" So it was upsetting because I was like, "What's going on with your rollout? You clearly could have like dropped this thing." Over a month earlier, and you could have avoided this because then that's why we saw a lot of the toys dropping, right? I think a lot of people were like, why are we seeing the clothes? Why are we seeing the merch? And that's why it was like there was this plan to originally roll it out a while ago, and then they pulled back for whatever reason. So when I finally watched the real thing, I mean, I think for me it was, we knew Alfred Molina was going to be in it because he a little bit about that, right? So that wasn't like a shock to me. I think seeing the Green Goblin little like pumpkin bomb, right?
Yeah, the pumpkin bomb.
That was like, and then hearing William Dafoe's voice.
Yeah.
Well, what's crazy about that though is that I actually had watched the leaked version just because I had people send it to me, and I was like, I couldn't fight the temptation. And I watched it, and in the leaked version, you couldn't hear William Dafoe's laugh. So when I watched the real one, I was like, what? That's something I didn't know was in there. It's like, holy crap.
And you probably couldn't tell. I felt like there were people just going like 226 or 227 Lizard. And I was like, okay, let me go brighten up this like very.
I mean, you can barely see something like coming through that,
like,
I think
like Lizard is this.
I think one it kind of comes out like, I was talking to my son today, and he was like, yeah, when they're gonna have Sandman in it, and they're gonna have the Lizard, and they're gonna have. I'm like, whoa, slow your roll. We only know that Jamie Foxx, because he leaked that thing on Twitter or social media or whatever. We know Alfred Molina. Because that was leaked a long time ago, and Willem Dafoe, because he was on set wearing the Doc Ock, stuff for fun, and those are the only ones that we know for sure, because we don't really know, who else might be in there or whatever. So I mean, it's just like I can hear a lot of people just like just getting overexcited and like, oh yeah, Paul Giamatti's going to be in there too, and like, hey, hold up, And, I mean, Dawson was like, you mean Rhino? I was like, yeah, Rhino. He's like, oh, I can't wait. And I was like, all right.
Look, I love the Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I hated Paul Giamatti in there, so don't even come at me with that, Ryan.
It was so random to have him in there too. It was like, okay.
You don't want to see justice for Rhino? You don't want to
Not for that version. Not for that version.
I would love to see justice.
Paul Giamatti was like, again, I'm kind of notorious in my neck of the woods for being a fan of the Amazing Spider-Man 2. In fact, that's my favorite Spider-Man movie. I'm not saying it's the best, but it's my favorite. But I will always say one of the biggest mistakes of that movie is Paul Giamatti's Rhino. Like, that is a big mistake from that movie that I have a hard time forgiving, personally.
I think that if we're venturing into the territory of doing variants at all, because we don't know, are these the actual versions adaptations from the other films? Are we looking at?
I think they're taking liberties.
Variants?
Yeah, I think they're just like, we're gonna sort of take the best version or our take. It's not going to be because in Raimi's films, Willem Dafoe died.
Right.
Alfred Molina drowned.
Right.
So we thought.
Electro died.
So we thought.
I mean, a lot of these characters, end up dying. Because that was sort of the common theme. They were like, hey, remember what they did for Batman? With Keaton. Yeah, they kept dying. It's like if you bring back Jack Nicholson as the Joker, it's like, wait a minute, he's dead.
I think the great theory, or one of the theories that I've seen people just saying, because it would be way too confusing to like completely introduce a new version of like when you already have it built-in audiences, right? Knowing who the characters are, to have to then introduce completely new versions of them again would be way too confusing. So what I've seen and what I've thought is that maybe we are looking at what if scenarios for some of these characters for the moments like right before they died or something. Because I think Alfred Molina in his interview had said that his character like continues on like right from the last moment that
from the river. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and I'm hoping that that they don't continue on with Willem and Alfred in the Andrew Garfield universe or whatever. Because I mean, Alfred Molina and Willem Dafoe.
And you were talking about like.
I'm sorry. Doc Ock and
you said the Amazing Spider-Man. That's not those two.
Right. Well, because one of the rumors is that that they're just resurrecting these villains for like either Andrew Garfield to come back and continue and fight, or Tom Holland to fight, or whatever. And I'm like, dude, these guys are grandpas. I get it, and it's cool that they bring them back because they'd have to do the de-aging every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you looked at like de-aging in Aquaman with Willem Dafoe, that was kind of hit or miss. It wasn't the greatest. And when they do the de-aging, they can't, like kind of like Robert De Niro in the Irishman, like you could see how stiff he was because of his age, even though they de-aged him. He was just, you can't move around or be agile or whatever. And it's just like, what are you going to face swap the whole movie? So I don't think that they should. I think like to bring them back for nostalgia for this, I think is dope because it's like, wow, what a cool multiverse concept. Well, but to have them continue on at the age that they are, I think that's like, I think it's a misstep.
But I think that, when it comes to all the different villains that Spider-Man has gone against, may it be in the Raimi series or the Amazing Spider-Man. I mean, in my opinion, I always felt that Alfred Molina's Doc Ock was the best villain.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And so bringing him back, but by bringing him back, it doesn't feel like a it's a Palpatine. Here we go again. No, it felt like, oh yeah, I want to see more of this because he's a great actor. Yeah, and so he
so is
really
Ian
well.
McDiarmid. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
It was just a horrible story that made no sense. This I hope makes more sense, and this I'm more excited for Alfred than I was for Ian McDiarmid.
Alfred, was talking about Batman or
Alfred Molina?
Oh
my God!
Got it.
You guys are always like, y'all don't know these guys' names. I'm notorious for calling actors by like character names that I saw in a movie.
No
or
one's
whatever.
ever said
I'm
that
like,
to you.
I'm like, yeah, you know that one guy.
You're
from,
switching it up. It's confusing us. So we're just
no,
going off your tendencies, Ryan.
He said that he's
You're to
notorious,
blame.
although I never knew that about him anyway, so I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about.
I'm wondering how deep and how like niche and nerdy are you getting? Because when you asked me like what really excited me, I've been watching like Spidey Twitter over the past few days, and did you notice that suit? A lot of people have been honing in on that suit that Tom Holland's Peter Parker's wearing at the very end of the trailer, and people are freezing it and they're comparing it to a shot of Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker, and they're like, is he wearing the same suit?
Oh, you're talking about the suit and tie, the funeral suit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
I
mean that might be. I mean that's kind of what they did in Man of Steel. Oh, not Man of Steel. I'm so sorry. In Justice League, they had Henry wearing something very akin to the actor that portrayed the young Clark in the Donner series. You know, the red plaid shirt.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's more of a nod to that. I don't think it's like, you know, oh my God, he's stealing Toby's clothes.
Somebody zoomed it in, and they were just like, look, the textures are the same. I was like, whoa, what?
They did the same thing with people were saying, oh, look at the suit and tie. That's the same outfit that the Daredevil guy wears.
Murdoch,
you know? Yeah, and I'm like, no, it's not him. He doesn't have a cane.
If he's wearing this, let's just say he is wearing the same outfit as Toby, Peter Parker. It could be that, you know, maybe in the storyline they're trying to trap Alfred Molina's character, like, you know, like, hello Peter, all of a sudden it's Tom Holland, you know, and they're trying to do something. I'm speculating now.
I mean, it could be.
But no, the trailer I thought was phenomenal. I love seeing all those old characters come back, and the way they were brought back was really cool. I mean, obviously, yes, it was a trailer, but it has so much potential to be such a cool movie and a cool story, and that's what I'm most excited for.
I agree.
Please. Yeah,
I agree, and I think that it's awesome that they're doing it, and it's so, you know, the nostalgia's there, you know, and it's fantastic. My thing is just like, okay, now that you've established this, same thing with Michael Keaton coming back as Batman. That's cool, but now that you've established this, like, where do we go from here, and how do you work a 70-year-old Batman? Do you just have him doing the talking lines, kind of like Robert Downey Jr., like, you know, in the suit where it's just, you know, he's just looking around, he got, you know, and it's just CG Iron Man, or do you just have like a Batman stand-in for Keaton running around? Do you do the same thing for Alfred? You know, do you just have a CG? God. Okay, Dr. Octavius.
Helicopter.
What's up, Fat Man? How you doing? But yeah, no, I mean, do you just have Willem Dafoe in the CG suit where it's just his voice? He's just supplying the ADR, and it's just because it's just an exosuit.
Well, there is. I don't know if I should say, but there was images that came out.
There were, and I didn't even watch the leaked trailer because, you know what, I was like, I don't want to watch that and have this thing ruined. I saw the stills that, you know, that were going around.
Yeah, that's what I saw was the stills.
But I was like, what's up, Joey? But at the end of the trailer, when it showed Spider-Man turning around and his claws were coming out, you know, from his suit, there was this I wanted to share with you guys. This is fan made, obviously. This is fan made, but still, the caption was
made by Andre.
No, I did not make this.
That's awesome. But before we get into what you're trying to bring up, which, you know, it's I see it. I want to bring up this. We've got a couple digital copies of Snake Eyes.
Yes, we do.
And we're going to be giving away the codes throughout the program. And we have a couple questions for you, the viewers. And we're just going to kind of throw it in there. We just wanted to let you know. And Kirsten, you did see the movie, right?
No, I didn't
see the movie. Okay.
So you're eligible to win a code.
Yeah, you're eligible. Yeah.
Colbert won one last time, so if he can win one, you can win one.
I hadn't seen this one because there was a point. I mean, and I'm still kind of this way where I was preferring to be watching the screeners if they were making them available digitally to us to watch at home instead of going to the theater. This was one of those ones where it was a time where I was like, I don't know if this is a movie that I need to like go to the theater to like see and review.
Understandable.
There were some, even like Black Widow, that was something where like Disney offered us the ability to watch it from the safety of our home, and I was like, well, I'm going to do that instead because I'm trying to think like how many people are for me, I was like, let me think of how most people are going to be consuming this. If most people are going to be consuming this like in the comfort of their homes, it makes more sense for me to be reviewing it that way. And then also like I'm living out here on my own, so I'd rather not go out into a crowd of people. Granted, yes, I did go out and see Shang-Chi. They didn't offer a digital code for or a digital screener for Shang-Chi, which I know a lot of people were annoyed about. And but I felt like this was one of those films where I was like, I need to see this one.
So you needed to see this one versus needing to see Black Widow.
In the theater.
Yes, in the theater. That's what I mean.
Well, guess what? You got a chance to win one today.
Yeah. The rest of our audience is like,
There was a difference with Black Widow where the review embargo lift was like, I think 24 hours or something. Like it was less than 24 hours after they were giving me the option to watch the movie. So I was like, let me just watch it from home then. So this is just more efficient, for me to have more time to write. So, and sometimes that happens. And with Shang-Chi, it wasn't like that. We were being given an entire week. I mean, I wound up not doing the review. I passed that review off to someone else on our team because I've been doing Walking Dead stuff, and that's my baby. Mm-hmm. So there's been a lot of stuff going on. I feel like I've been literally jumping from one thing to the next. Like I told you guys before I jumped on here, right before I was chatting with you guys, I just came back from Universal. Before that, it was like Shang-Chi, or I'm interviewing someone from The Walking Dead, and when I'm not doing those things, I'm sleeping. And
that's nice. So let's get into our first trivia question for the chat. And the first person to answer the question
correctly,
not audibly, but here we go. Who played the role of Snake Eyes in the 2009 G.I. Joe movie?
Oh, that's a good one.
So there you go.
And audience, you do have Google as a tool at your disposal.
We prefer that you don't cheat. I want people to rack their brains a little bit.
Who is going to know that?
I know that. I knew that before I even asked the question.
Because you looked at the question and answer.
No, because I love the person who played Toad in X-Men.
You barely know who it is.
Joey was first.
I barely know who it is.
Yeah, Joey got. You're not paying attention, right?
The guy that played Darth Maul. You guys are my answer guys. I'm having a battle of wits with Dawson and clearly winning.
You're having
clearly winning.
Here we go. Joey Moreno with Ray Park, whom apparently I barely know. So
I'm just saying, like, nobody sees his face, so nobody pays attention to who played Snake Eyes because he's wearing a helmet the entire freaking time.
But that's why it's a trivia question.
That's why I said Google is an option.
Okay, congratulations, Joey.
You're literally proving my
Samuel L. Jackson. So Joey Moreno, thank you so much for answering our first question of the night. Nice. And it is Ray Park.
Yeah, you get
Ray Park.
Digital code to watch
digital code is coming your way. But yeah, let's bring up that thing that Nickatina took away. Where he wanted to show something from the trailer. And I got a freaking copyright strike from the Spider-Man trailer. I was like, really?
Oh yeah, I didn't.
Is this Warner Brothers?
No, what I was saying was the last scene in the trailer. This could have easily.
This isn't.
Oh, interesting.
It's not real, but like
this wasn't in the trailer.
This could have easily have been could be like the real shot in the movie, but they removed them because they don't want to give that away. But it just kind of goes to show you that some of these scenes that we saw may not be.
They may not finish. Just like the Civil War. Civil War did not have it when they had the trailer. Spider-Man was non-existent in the Civil War trailer until they added him later.
I mean, you can take people out and people in.
Well, they did that on purpose.
But
it was the same thing with the what was it in the Avengers movie where it was Hulk running, but then they changed it to. The Iron Man, the Hulkbuster suit. Yeah.
I was just going to say that I think Marvel has really been privy to doing this in recent years. I know that this is Sony, but they are working with Marvel clearly here. I know that they do purposefully do some of these scenes specifically for the trailers now because it's become such a thing. That the trailers will go and. Spoil certain scenes, whatever, and now you have just scenes that are only in movie trailers.
The hype. Well, the hype scenes, the Wakanda running scene at the end of the first Infinity War trailer, straight up, not in the movie, but it was a hype scene. You got to see Captain America
coming at you,
and then there's other movies where it's the exact opposite, where like Suicide Squad had some really dope scenes, but that wasn't in the movie. Teenage Mutant Ninja, the first one with Will Smith. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with their when they popped out of the water, that wasn't in the movie. There's a lot of them Justice League. There was a lot of stuff in there that wasn't in the movie.
I would argue Justice League and Suicide Squad.
That's a whole nother level
category because we know that those are from different cuts of the film. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a difference between those where you have the Ayer cut and then the Snyder cut, and then you have Marvel purposefully making alternate scenes for trailers.
Yes, to throw their audiences off, which I think is a really good tactic.
Yeah, definitely is, because it makes it harder to predict and makes a surprise is actually like worth something. That was one thing that kind of made my enjoyment of the Suicide Squad, the latest version of that part of the universe, less impactful for me, because they had all the jokes that were supposed to be the big hitters in the trailers. So when I watched the movie itself, I had already heard those jokes before, and so they didn't land for me if they would have saved it for the movie. And so like there's definitely give and take there of like, you have to make some scenes and maybe don't make it, or make some scenes that throw the audience off. But you also have to make sure that you hype people up enough to want to see it. So like,
but I thought that,
I mean,
like,
it's just
like the Infinity War scene to me, that didn't it didn't derail the movie or ruin it. I thought later on, I was like, oh, I get why they did that, and that was a cool shot, but I get why they did that. Like, it made sense.
But then the stark difference is like, you know, the Venom trailer. Like, I feel like I've seen the movie now. You know, because it's just it kind of, you know, played it out for me. I was like, oh, I kind of see the story. So
I didn't like how they showed when Woody Harrelson gets the abilities to become Carnage. I was like, you shouldn't show that.
Yeah,
you know, that was a little too much. But I think they did that because I think they felt like the general audience doesn't know that much about Carnage. So they kind of wanted to like clue you in, like, hey, this is how this character gets his abilities, and look how he looks now. So let's see what happens. You know, so. To me, that was just so the general audience knew kind of where this guy is coming from a little bit. Because when I saw it, I was like, wow! I was like, why are you showing me that? That's not cool. But I get it, though. I get it.
He said it in that voice too. That's
not cool. Why are you showing me that?
I did actually. If you watch my review on it,
I said,
oh my God, why are you showing me that?
I was wondering, did you guys have other parts of the trailer that really like made you flip out when you watched it for the first time that we didn't hit on?
Spider-Man?
No Way Home?
Yeah.
Well,
just the Alfred Molina.
Well, Alfred Molina was a big one for me. And also, like, I thought it was I love the fact that they're actually addressing head on what happened at the end of Far From Home. Because I was really worried for a little bit that they were just going to simply have it be a side note and maybe just kind of dismiss it really quickly. Kind of like what they did with the blip in Infinity War and Endgame with Far From Home. Like, they just kind of made it as a little joke at the beginning and kind of overlooked it and stuff. So I was worried they do that and completely drop that tension. But it looks like it's going to be a very big part of the story to where it's going to really have an impact on Peter's life and his friends. And I was like, okay, thank you for addressing that, because you have a lot of opportunity there to make a really interesting story.
Yeah.
And then you can dive head on into the multiverse and stuff. Like, have that balance of it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, I mean, for me, one of the first scenes that I saw that really kind of blew my mind was when you see the city kind of like caving into itself, and you see it falling. I felt like Inception. Yeah, I was like, whoa, what is happening right here? And then it just sort of took off from there, which is really cool. I am glad that we didn't get to see, Toby or Andrew Garfield in the trailer. I mean, like that shot, the fan-made shot that I showed you guys earlier. Imagine if they showed that at the end of the trailer. That would have been like...
They should either
save that for the next one, for the next major one, you know.
Like with that, you should either put it in the final trailer or don't put them in any of the trailers and just wait till the movie.
No, none of them.
I think none of. It's funny though, because you mentioned if they had put them in. I asked my mom, because I was wondering how I've seen people saying like, oh, is this going to be bigger than Avengers, or is this whatever? I think that, to go back, you had mentioned Star Wars earlier. I think that this reminds me, if anything, of like Star Wars: The Force Awakens, because this is a cross-generational film, 90s, 2000s, and now going into the 20s, which is a thing to say. But I said to my mom, did you watch the trailer? And then she was like, yeah, I loved it. Or, well, she hadn't at the time, and then she did. And then she texted me and she was like, I loved it. And I was like, well, are you confused? Do you have questions? Because she didn't say anything else. She was just like, loved it. And then she was like, no, I got it. And I was like, well, what do you mean you don't have questions? And she was like, well, yeah. I was like, didn't you notice that Alfred Molina and like William Dafoe were in it? And she was like, yeah.
She was like, who, Doc Ock and Goblin?
I was like so impressed with like how much she had noticed. I mean, my mom's like with it, but usually she asks some questions and stuff.
Yeah, that's dope.
Awesome,
she was like,
I got this, yo.
Of course, I noticed William Dafoe. That's like one of my favorite actors. And then I was like, but don't you understand what the implications of that mean? That means that like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, like, well, maybe not Andrew because she didn't realize, some of the others maybe, but she was like, yeah, I I get that. That's cool. And I was like, oh, okay. Like if you're able to make those leaps from the trailer, like then everyone's probably making these leaps from the trailer.
Yeah,
and I think that they did a good job.
Yeah, it means you've done your job with advertising. If people understand what's going on, but also leaves you with questions as to like, okay, is this happening in the film?
Agree.
You know,
I agree with Steve.
Yeah, cool mom. Yeah, she's pretty cool. She's with it. I thought I was gonna have to do a bunch of explaining, and
you're about to be what's his name from the meme where dude's like, I'm explaining this, and there's like all these.
Oh yeah.
Like, I thought you were about to be like, look at all these dots, but yeah.
Well, it's kind of like me with my.
That's cool that that's cool that she got it though.
It's kind of like me with my little sister. My little sister Heidi, she's a big Spider-Man fan, like massive Spider-Man fan of all 3 versions. And she actually did my reaction video with me, and her reaction in her faces was just hilarious. Like especially after the trailer ended in the video, she's just like, "Oh my gosh!" Whereas like the stereotypical thing with like my sister is just barely starting college, or I guess in their 2nd semester, like a girl that age usually isn't all in the know of that stuff stereotypically, right? But she's like all in, like she understands all the different characters that are teased, like she understands everything, and she's like breaking it down. It's like, well, this could mean this and this. And I was like, you know what? I have a cool sister. Gosh dang it, that is awesome.
This is why I think this movie has like the ability to be something like a Star Wars, because when you're sitting in the theater, I think everyone either has their own Spider-Man, or someone like has a Spider-Man is like, in terms of just like the toys, I think he's a bigger toy than Batman.
Well, he's the most popular of Marvel's characters.
That's
like it's Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man that are the top 3 of the world, right?
Yeah,
like most recognizable, right, and most beloved. And then also, like you're saying with Star Wars and whatever, like I think that Sony really, because of that other movie, the animated movie, the Spider-Verse. I think it really, and it was a good movie. I think it really did. It was fire. it was, but I think it really did help this movie here, or this concept, in that it got people prepared for a multi-platform or multi-verse. So I think it really did do it.
But did you see, Ryan? I think it was, I can't remember if it was Phil Lord or Chris Miller, but one of them had tweeted recently about how they had originally pitched Sony on an extra scene.
Hey, what's up?
And they had pitched the scene to Sony to have Toby and Andrew return to voice other Spider-Man along with Spider-Ham in a scene. And Sony was like, I guess it didn't go anywhere. But then they remembered that idea, I'm sure, and they were like, "Oh, this is a thing."
Yeah. And I remember I was watching the first Spider-Man movie with my sister and my wife the other day. Just wanted to rewatch all of the Spider-Man movies before this one comes out, and I realized that of all the superheroes that have ever been put to film, I feel like Spider-Man is the character that is the most I guess the easiest to utilize in a film. Not the easiest, but like Spider-Man was made for film. Like, you think about it, the way he transports to places with web slinging, the way that he fights, his suits, the colors of the suit, the setting that it takes place in. Like, Spider-Man was made for film, and that's why he's become so iconic.
Well, it's the same thing with the video games. He was made for the video games too.
Like, he's the only character that you can just play a version. Oh, what the heck happened to Andre?
I don't know. I think he dipped. So.
I guess
WNBC.
Okay.
But he's the only character that I can think of where it's just simply fun to just transport to places in a video game. Like, you just web sling for hours on a Spider-Man video game and not do anything else and still be entertained.
Well, I think that, when you talk about it, he was made for movies. I mean, the thing with Spider-Man that you can do that you can't do with every single superhero is that, like, you can have the movie still be fairly colorful and it's shot in the daytime and whatever, and it still be really good. And like with Batman, you can do him in the daytime, but you prefer to do it at night. When he's in the daytime, he never looks the same. So it's like, I don't know about that. But Spider-Man, and plus at the same time, he's much more relatable as well, because he's essentially he's a nerd. You know what I mean? And so he's trying to figure himself out. He's trying to learn about himself, and
he's relatable, and he's a character that you can have both a balance of light and dark in your film. Like bright and serious.
Like, he could have the symbiote, or he could be out dancing on the street,
Well, no, screw that one. Screw that. But you know what I mean? You can have moments of,
gosh, that was
you can have moments of goofiness and funny
Spider-Man
quips,
3.
but then you can also have it be very serious for like his Aunt May gets attacked and stuff. You can have that balance that a lot of other characters just really can't have for the majority of the time.
What up?
What's up, Sickness?
Oh, Peter.
But no, I think it's gonna be really cool. I really loved the trailer that they did put out. I can't wait for more of the trailers to come out. And this movie as well. It's coming out on Christmas, which is really cool. I mean, it's going to capitalize that market.
I thought it was coming out December 17th.
It is, yeah.
Well, the trailer said this Christmas.
It's a week.
December 17th.
The entire month of December is Christmas.
Okay, December 17th. Got it. December 17th, 2021. Spider-Man: No Way Home.
No Way Home.
Who
it's
are
gonna
you
be
talking
good.
to?
I don't know.
Talking to viewers.
Whoa.
December 17th.
Oh man.
2021.
Wi-Fi is. You gotta tell the kids to get off the Wi-Fi, Ryan. He's got that KFC Wi-Fi going.
Yeah. Oh well. What are you gonna do?
Get better Wi-Fi.
No.
That seems like the simple solution.
Just buy a better router, man. That's all you gotta do.
Get off of Comcast.
Damn, Anthony's cold-blooded.
Look at Kirsten. She's not, cutting in and out. Solid. Great internet connection.
Well, yeah, she's got no interference. She's good.
It's the first time I'm just actually, I feel like I'm in a real apartment just talking that has furniture. So every other time.
Oh yeah, I remember the last time you had to hold your laptop. And
I think I had did I have a cell phone one time or no? I don't know.
Oh yeah, I think there was one time where you had your iPad or something or a phone.
Yeah.
Real struggle bus.
Living life now.
I have felt that for sure.
It's rough on a mobile device.
Ryan, the only time he ever comes onto my streams is when he uses a cell phone on the way home from work. So I constantly have a freaking.
When he's Mickey Mouse.
Oh my gosh!
That wasn't me. That was
so you, and it was terrifying.
That wasn't
what
me.
happened?
No.
What happened?
So Ryan came on one of Dawson's streams, and he just had a picture of Mickey Mouse. And I think
it was like, "Hey, it's me, Mickey Mouse."
And it was him in the car, so it was even worse. Like,
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I had a couple of comments on my stream after that. Like, I said the next day, like, "Oh, I can't do a stream today," and everybody's like, "Yeah, Ryan's voice would have scared me off of streaming too."
I was trying to shut his show down, but apparently it just kept going. So, sorry, guys. So you'd mentioned earlier The Walking Dead. So are they still doing The Walking Dead?
Oh my god!
Yes.
I don't know. I haven't watched it.
The final season just started.
That was the final season. So is Coral still around?
Oh my
No, he's not. He's not.
Ryan,
okay. Let's
Ryan, why don't you shut up and let Kirsten talk?
yeah, talk.
It's funny whenever people ask me about, or whenever The Walking Dead comes up in conversation with me, I feel like there's always that person who goes and says, that show's still on, and I'm like, oh, okay, you know what? Yes, okay, let's get past that part of the conversation.
It's like saying you're an X-Files fan, you know what I mean? Like, oh, the X-Files, that's still on?
Yeah.
Well,
same thing with Supernatural. I'm like, what?
Supernatural.
I think when The Walking Dead is a part of your life, I think that you're just used to having some of those conversations. And I've been covering it for a long time. We found out in September during the pandemic that this 11th season, 11, crazy. It was going to be the last one. It was shocking news to like everyone because that wasn't the original plan.
No. Well, usually when shows get syndicated, they're kind of like, okay, we're done because they're 10 seasons in, and then they just get residuals, so they don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are a lot of things that went into this decision. That we could talk about for like forever. The TLDR, some of it is because I've been talking to some of the cast members, and I was like, where were you? When were you? Like, when did you find out about the show ending?
10 years and those dead people are still walking. That's true. Like, they don't deteriorate, but they should.
That's a funny thing to know from Steve, because on the premiere, a bunch of them look like they're sleeping and they're lying on the ground, so they were not walking in the premiere. But then they like got up, There was this cool horror scene where like they were disturbed and then they all got up in this cool, creepy way. But to go back to like, I'll just give you guys a little bit of insight here. There was a phone call that I received in September. I don't even know how much I'm supposed to talk about this. So I'll just say I was called up by AMC, and it was the day before they made the announcement that that the show was going to end. And they were just giving me a heads up.
Heads up, yeah.
For a long time. They called a handful of people and said, hey, we're going to announce this tomorrow. We're just letting you know so that you can like prep the story and stuff for tomorrow. And then they said to everyone who they were calling, they were like, please don't reach out to anyone else about this. And I was talking to one of my buddies who also covers the show, and he was like, yeah, they told us not to reach out to anyone because they were literally calling everyone today. They were just going down the line and telling like the cast that the show is over today. Like,
the cast?
Like I was finding out the same day as everyone.
Wow.
Everyone. And so, and I haven't really told that story anywhere really yet because I don't really know if I'm allowed to. But anyway, so knowing that information now while I'm talking to cast members, I'm kind of like asking all of them, how, like, where were you when you learned the news? What was your reaction? And all of them have just been like, yeah, I was shocked because like none of them were expecting this to all come on the same day. And when I asked Norman Reedus about it, it was funny because Norman was like, he knew exactly where he was. And I'm just reading these people's comments. What with these AMC shows, just 8 to 10 episodes? Well, so that's funny. So it's not 8 to 10 episodes per season with Walking Dead. What they do, it's a very strategic, like advertising strategy where it's like 24 episodes for the final season. It's usually 16 episodes per season, but they split it in episodes of 8, in chunks of 8, so that they have segments where they can broadcast stuff in the fall for advertising, and you have 2 months worth of episodes, and then hold the next batch of episodes for February, right? From February to April. In this scenario, AMC made it so that, well, let me go back to the Norman thing really quick before I forget. So when
Norman Osborn?
Norman Osborn. When Norman had told me he had learned that the show was over, he was like, well, how did everyone else react? And he said that AMC told him that they were the first person that they called. And he was like, oh, wow. So like no other cast member, he was the first cast member to learn. And they told him not to call anyone. And then he was like, yeah, so then I called up Melissa, like right away.
Yeah.
And I was on the chat with both of them. So like they were just laughing and you know, having a good time. But yeah, so it was interesting because this final season just premiered in August 22nd. Every episode dropped the week before on AMC Plus. It's interesting because the episodes usually premiere, the seasons usually premiere in October. Yeah. And typically, if we didn't have the pandemic, we would have been going into season 12 and not into 11. Because we'll think about it, like last year should have been season 11 last October, but they weren't able to film it all. Like they had to shut down production last March. They had to shut down pre-production on season 11. So what happened was they just were working and stuff on the script for season 11. And then last summer, AMC, when things weren't getting better, AMC was like, well, shoot, we're not going to be able to film season 11 the way that we wanted to. But let's try to, like, we need something to fill this gap of time is what my understanding is. So AMC announced that they were going to shoot a bonus 6 episodes for season 10 because season 10 was already done. Yeah. And they were like, these are going to be like an extension of season 10. And these are going to be like more confined stories where they weren't going to have the entire cast in episodes. They were going to feel more like bottle episodes. Like they don't want them to be described as bottle episodes, but like that's kind of what they are. They're very contained because they were filmed during the pandemic. And I think that they were filmed in order to know and see if they would be able to film safely during the pandemic.
Right.
And after or during I think when they were filming these 6 episodes, I think I have this right in my head. That's then when they had announced the final season, and that caught everyone off guard. So like they announced the 6 episodes first, and then it was the final season, and they said, so you can have a final season, but we'll give you 24 episodes to finish it in. So there were these bonus 6 episodes and then 24 episodes. So when you do the math, it was 30 final episodes altogether, which basically amounts to, because I've talked to the showrunner a few times, Angela Kang. She's lovely, and she had said to me, yeah, this basically plays as 2 final seasons. And then Norman Reedus said that also to me recently. He was like, well, yeah, it's basically like we're doing 2 seasons in one. And I think that the way I think they're doing that because I mean, there was this trajectory to them like do the movie at some point. I feel like they were on some sort of timeline. So,
yeah, because they're doing the movie about oh gosh,
Rick.
Sheriff Rick. Yeah. Are they still planning on doing that, or is okay?
Yeah, as far as I know, like I've spoken with Scott Gimple, and he's the one who kind of like runs the whole Walking Dead show.
Yeah.
In November of 2020, and it's funny because they originally announced it as a trilogy, like way back in 2018. So I think a lot of people are like, well, is the still going to be there and stuff? And they have like this other spin-off show that's called World Beyond. And I think that the whole point of that show, because it's only going to be it's only 2 seasons, the second season is going to start up soon. And the way that was described to me was always that like that second season, the way that will end, it's supposed to be a bridge to the movie or whatever. So I think that the Walking Dead was supposed to probably, its ending, I have to imagine, probably plays into the movies as well in some way. So I feel like the pandemic really threw off whatever their grand plan was here. And now I think that's why things are the way that they are. But yeah, so the show is now in its final season. To just say like the movies, they were announced as a trilogy. As far as I know, like, they're at least working on one of them. I know Robert Kirkman was working on the script. I know Andrew Lincoln was like having some input as well. And
because I remember seeing a story a couple months back about them like still wanting to do the movie and how the actor for Rick Grimes, I can't remember his name, was like very much involved in it. Yeah, Andrew Lincoln was very much involved in like getting the story put together, and so it's good to know that's still moving forward. Because I know a lot of fans really want to see more of him because he did a great job with the show.
Yeah.
So, he was the show. I mean, he was the main character.
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job of, because I think the question was after he left, can this show carry on without Rick? And a lot of people ask me who dropped off the show years ago. A lot of people dropped off when Negan brutally killed Glenn. I understand that. It then became the Negan show. And a lot of people will ask me. It's true. I've written a lot about it, but like going to the final season, a lot of people, when they'll tell me first, like, oh, that show's still on. And I'll be like, ha ha ha, yes. But then people ask me like, oh, well, should I catch up with it? And I'm like, this is what I tell everyone. If you watch the show from the beginning, I think you owe it to yourself to at least watch Rick Grimes' final episode, which is 905. They're all on Netflix, the first 10 seasons. And 905 is my shorthand for season 9, episode 5.
Right.
And if you like that episode, maybe watch more. If you don't like that episode, don't watch more. And that's all I say to people. I just say if you watch Rick's journey for the first however many years, I think you owe it to yourself to watch his final episode.
That's great. That's great advice.
Well, that's great.
So the last time we saw Rick, I mean, as far as I know, was that that helicopter had landed and took him away. And that was the last you've seen of him since then, or have you seen him?
No, Joey.
Yeah, no, 905 episodes.
And then after that one, if you're not invested, then I don't know what to tell you.
That goes all the way to 905. No, 905 is just my shorthand for season 9, episode 5.
So is there
Joey, I'm just going to say this, Joey. If any show gets to 905, like, for example, if the 4 Nerds ever got to 905 episodes, Ryan would be dead.
Yeah, he'd be
by
dead.
that point.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
We don't care.
That didn't work.
No,
Ryan just be a skeleton.
Kirsten, let me ask you real quick, like in your talks with like the cast and the behind the scenes people and the creators of the show, have you gotten any kind of definitive reason as to why they decided to end it with this season?
I mean,
she doesn't want to tell us. She's like, how do I answer this?
It's funny because I feel like I know things, but I feel like they're not things that I feel like everyone likes to dance around, right? I think there are a lot of some of it I think has to deal with being able to tie. I think that they were on a schedule for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think things have to lead to the movie at a certain point. I think there is part of me, it's not like the cynic in me, but there is part of me that does wonder how much, I don't know if you guys have been following this at all, but there has been this lawsuit going on for a very long time between AMC and Frank Darabont. Frank Darabont was the original showrunner. Season 1, left season 2, departed not on good terms. And and that lawsuit just had finished up recently, and AMC like owes him $200 million. Like they got to give him $200 million. So I don't know if that's involved in it. I'll give you things that here. Let me just give you some pieces, and then you guys can decide.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So one, AMC has to pay Frank Darabont $200 million. That's a story that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Stacks.
Some other things to keep in mind are that Robert Kirkman abruptly ended the Walking Dead comic in 2019. And here's what I'll say. That came as a shock. And maybe it came as a shock to a lot of people. Maybe not just us. And maybe there were some people who thought, we're going to use these comics forever as our, as our direction for where we're going to go, and maybe one day they learned, this isn't going to be around forever, and maybe we need to change our plan. So there's that. I think that the comic ending may have changed up some plans. I think that may have made
the biggest impact.
I think that may have made the biggest impact. And then I think it's funny because I honestly think, do you know anything about Rick Andy being in the? Oh, that's so funny. That's a good question, Caleb. And I've had a lot of people ask me that question. I did ask Angela Kang, the showrunner, about this when we spoke recently. And Angela, she did some good dancing. Like she did some, I think she must have been asked this question a bunch of times, and it felt like she was reading off of a piece of paper, or she memorized her one sentence. And I feel like it's a hold your breath thing. Like it would make sense if he would be there. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up and say like, oh, well, how could he not be there? But like, I don't know. Like, I feel like you kind of want people to watch these movies, but so maybe you'll get a tease or a hint or something. Maybe Daryl will learn that like Rick's alive because everyone thinks he's dead on the show right now. Except for Judith, who's Rick's daughter.
Yeah, but you bring up a great point though with the comic. Makes me wonder because my wife's a huge anime fan, right? And a lot of anime is based off of mangas, right? A lot of them. Like for example, there's 2 versions of the Full Metal Alchemist anime: Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And a common problem that a lot of anime fans run into is a lot of those animes will catch up with the mangas they're based on, and then will divert in their own direction. And a lot of times it's to the show's detriment.
Right.
And like you're saying, the Walking Dead show, they're thinking, oh, we're just going to follow this comic until, the end of time. And now they can't because it's ending. I just think it's kind of funny that now, like, American culture is kind of getting more, well, I guess there's a lot of anime fans here, but you know what I mean? Like, American culture is getting more, like, I guess we're getting an example of that in our own entertainment.
It's funny that you mentioned that because, one that makes me think of a few things. It makes me think of actually my recent conversation with Angela also because, one, I did ask her about, I've always thought of Game of Thrones and Walking Dead together since they aired like side by side for so many years. Yeah. And I have always thought that Game of Thrones, I always thought that it was unfortunate that they got ahead of the books because then the final season was like, it wasn't great, right? Like, no,
it wasn't great.
A lot of people didn't.
It had really good parts, but it wasn't great. Right. It wasn't complete. Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe if they didn't surpass the books, maybe it's been great. Here, I said to Angela, I was like, where the comic ends. Like, I always thought because you guys knew the ending, I thought that maybe you would be able to stick the landing. I think that it's interesting because I'm not really even a fan of the final arc in the comics. I really thought that it kind of got boring. I think that, I'm just going to say it, I think that maybe Kirkman kind of got over the Walking Dead.
He checked out.
I think that he maybe became frustrated with the way that the show, maybe some stuff on the show was going on. I don't know everything like specifically, but it just, to me, it felt like it showed in the writing. And I feel like he decided to wrap up the comic because maybe it was a little bit out of
exhaustion.
I think like just and I think that because a lot of people were shocked that, if you don't know, spoiler, Rick is killed in the comics. And I was like, is this really the ending that you were intending on? Like, it's a fine ending, but I don't know. Part of me kind of wonders, like, if he just felt a certain kind of way and was like, I'm just going to screw them over and I'm just going to end it because I don't care for the show anymore, you know? And I don't know.
Maybe he wanted to move on. So yeah, so he's like, if I just end this and they can just do their own thing now, I don't have to be so involved with it.
Yeah, because I think at some point, some people have just been like,
that's for real.
Look,
that's for real.
JRM is working on that book, and he will finish it when he wants to. So, I think maybe there was some annoyance. So many spinoffs. He's been doing so many spinoffs for The Walking Dead, and it's like, how many more can you do? And
there was Fear the Walking Dead, and has that one ended already?
Nope, that one.
It's still going.
They're gonna run that thing until the end of time.
I actually enjoyed Fear the Walking Dead. The first 2 seasons, I watched the first 3, I want to say, but at first when it showed the inception of the outbreak, that was really cool. And then all of a sudden they were in Mexico. Once they got to Mexico, I was like, where are we going with this? And then they're on like that hacienda or that ranch, and it just got crazy. And I was like, what is going on here? It's just weird. But it had some really cool elements to it, which I thought was really cool. And plus, they were out in the desert in Mexico, which I was like, dude, what are you going to do out there? Like, you're so stranded. You're so on your own. It was crazy.
Yeah, I know some people, season 3 is great of Fear. I can't believe it's going into season 7. The showrunners have told me that, like, they think that thing's just going to keep going. Because I was like, is season 7, is this the final one? And they were like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay. All right.
See, now you're making me want to just go binge watch The Walking Dead right now. As soon as the show is over, I'm just going to go binge watch that thing now. It's on Netflix. I know. I have access to it right inside. I think I have to do that because it sounds like it gets a lot better.
I would say, I think seasons 9 and 10, because, we're talking about following comics and stuff, honestly, and I had said this to Angela, I was like, I think you did a better job when you deviate from the comic and you go off comic. I think she has done, here's the thing, like, Angela was given the show, female Asian American showrunner, was given the show at the worst possible time ever, when Andrew Lincoln was about to leave the show. Carl was just killed off the show. And a lot of people were like, is this show even going to be able to carry on? And I don't know if there was some sentiment where it was like, well, I don't know if it's going to move past season 9 or if the ratings are completely going to dip after Andrew Lincoln leaves. And it was like, sure, Angela, you want the keys to the castle? Go for it. Like, no pressure. All the main stars are gone. And I think that she had this incredible task in front of her. Unenviable task, and I think a lot of people thought that she was probably going to fail. Like, they weren't maybe verbally saying it, but they were probably like, "Oh, well, it is what it is now." And I think it kind of showed everyone, like, no, I'm gonna go and like make this show like kick ass again. And she actually like made it into more of an ensemble show. She took Negan, threw him in jail for like 8 episodes, and like I think that she realized what some of the problems were. She was very self-aware. she decided to like kill off a rather annoying character on like a problematic character on the first episode that she like took over, and then like certain things that the show was doing where it just felt predictable. She came in and she kind of shook it up and made the show unpredictable again.
That was the problem I had, is that it felt that it was getting very predictable, and especially once Negan has shown up, which I was a fan of Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character, but as it went on, it sort of became like, okay, now we have another governor, you know what I mean? Like we have another big bad who has his army, and this time he has more guys, you know. So it became like predictable.
Recycled a bit, And I think what she did, because we talked about this a little bit during season 9. There's a big story from the comics that was adapted with the Whisperers, where they kill a bunch of people and they stick their heads in pikes, and typically everyone was expecting that episode to come on season 9, episode 16, the finale. And Angela caught everyone off guard and did it an episode early in 9:15. And when I spoke to her, I was like, why did you do this 9:15 and not 9:16? Because, you know, I think people were expecting that to be the finale episode. And she was like, here's the thing. I just felt like we would have been treading water for an episode, and I don't really like doing that. In other words, she was I don't like doing bottle episodes. If it feels like it's the right time to do it, what are we waiting for?
Well, and see,
I love that.
I love that too, and you know, the Whisperers were that was a storyline I really wanted to see in The Walking Dead, because it was a scarier, kind of creepier group of people that, you know, that were doing something that you hadn't seen before. While when it came to Negan and his group, like you had seen that kind of done already, but now you're seeing a more ruthless version of the governor in a sense. But the thing is that when we saw the governor in those seasons, I mean, that was mind blowing. I mean, like that was so good. Those what season was that? When they were in the prison and season 3, and the governor was coming and they attacked the jail. I mean, that was just like off the charts. I couldn't.
Yeah, that was pretty dope. I remember that.
And then I also loved how, you know, you were talking about how when you deviate from the comic, I loved how early on they would basically use the comic storyline, but then they would deviate a little bit and then go right back on again. Like as the Cannibal Hunters, they changed that into what do you call it? The name of that place they went to where it's supposed to be
little town or whatever.
And when I'm sorry, but like when they finally captured those bad guys in that church, and you know, he was like, go ahead, shoot me then. He was like, no, we don't want to waste the bullets. And then he just totally starts hacking away at him. I was like, dude, this is badass. But then they kind of got away from that though. And that's when I was kind of like, okay, here we go.
What happened was, I think that they dialed back a little bit on the brutality after Negan hit Glenn. There was an article in Variety where it was just like
still raw.
Yeah, it was just
they killed him twice. I was like, oh, he's alive. Oh, he's dead.
That's what really did it for me with the show, because I watched it religiously for a while. Not religiously, but like I watched it pretty like a lot on Netflix.
I think it's interesting because I think that episode was interpreted in different ways by comic viewers or comic readers and show only watchers. And my brother and I, who had religiously like read the comics, we knew what to expect with Negan's entry episode, and we were so excited. We were like, oh, wow, like they really went there, and they were so true to the comic. And I know that like Nickatina and everyone was so excited about how authentic they were to the comic. I know that Jeffrey Dean Morgan was so psyched about that. Like he wanted to play Negan. Like he knew when he got the call up from like AMC, and they like had a fake name for like Negan. He was like, is it Negan? And he was like, I need to play that role. Yeah. And I think that no one was anticipating that the show only watchers were going to be so caught off guard, because they didn't know that was how it played off. And I say that because I'm going to reference my mom again, because I always think of her as like the general. She's the game.
She's your general audience. Yeah.
And I said to my mom, I was like, "What'd you think of that episode, like with Negan entering?" And she was like, I didn't like it. And I was like, whoa, like what? Wait. And I was like, okay, I'm missing something. So and I had a conversation with her, and she's like, no, it was like like, why did he have to do it like that? Like, why did he relish it? And then I was like, So I had to stand back. I had to like step back and be like, what am I missing here? And what I was missing was that at that point, when that episode had aired, we were so much farther along in the comics that I was at a point where Negan was then my favorite like comic character, but I forgot that like, so I was really excited to see Negan on screen, but that's because I was past the point of like hating Negan and whatever. I was at the point of like, yeah, Negan's like a different dude now than like this other guy. And I was like, no one else is there. And it's so different seeing this in action than like reading it in black and white.
Yeah.
And, it was too bad that Steven Yeun was not invincible yet. I understand that.
Because like,
Because
like I've been really meaning to pick up some of the compendiums for The Walking Dead. I really wanted to read it, but like when I watched, there was the 2 episodes before Glenn died where they had a fake out of a death where he's underneath the dumpster and all the zombies around him, and I was because Glenn was my favorite character in the show, and I watched that show for a long time just for Glenn for a while, and. All right, whatever, Ryan.
I can see that.
Well, hold on to that thought 1 second. We're going to go ahead and give another digital code for Snake Eyes today. So, here we go. So I have another question for our viewers.
Make sure you click
it's another G.I. Joe question. It's one that probably Dawson won't get. But what is the subtitle for 2013 G.I. Joe sequel? And so the first person that's not Joey Moreno in the chat, can get this right. You will get yourself a digital code, and I think we have somebody
that movie guy
already. That movie guy got it. All right, let me pull that up real quick. So you are our second winner. Thank you so much for putting that in. We're going to send you get with us at the end of the show, guys. Both Joey and that movie guy for your digital codes, and we'll get those out to you so you can enjoy your show.
He's like, The Rise of Cobra.
Rise of Cobra was the first film.
That was the first one.
Yes. So fantastic. We're gonna have another giveaway later on in the show.
Yeah.
We're gonna have another giveaway later on in the show. So guys, as soon as we bring that back up, what's that?
Joey's comment.
Oh, hold on.
G.I. Joe Mama.
G.I. Joe Mama. There you go. That is the new movie that they're going to come out with. It's a sequel. It's a sequel.
That one's going to have Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista in a buddy cop,
and it's also going to feature Steppenwolf saying "Mama."
and Jason Momoa is going to be Frosty the Snowman in that movie.
Oh, no.
There you go.
But as I was saying, like I remember they had that fake out of Glenn's death the 2 episodes before Negan came in. And so I was like already anxious, and like he came back, and I was like, okay, he's alive. My fanhood and Glenn was still strong. I was like, let's go. And then Negan comes into the picture, and again, someone who didn't read the comics, and I saw what happened to my poor boy Glenn, and I was like, I can't, I got to take a break.
You can really tell because I read a bunch of the comics like early, so I knew Negan was like, dude's a nasty dude like early on, but like. You could see the difference between people who actually read the comics. If you just go on YouTube and search for reactions to Glenn's death, people are fucking like, like I'm talking about like destroyed by that. And I was just like, I didn't know who he was going to kill. Like the way that the previous season ended, how they did it. But I was just like, but whoever he kills is just that's Negan. Like that's
no, they filmed for like all of them just to try to throw people off.
Yeah, they did. But once they had them lined up, I was like, oh crap, they're really gonna do this, aren't they? And they did. I was like, no, but I didn't want to say that scene. I think was like that was the kind of scene on TV that you didn't see again. That kind of hype and build up and reaction until like the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones. That was another one where you saw reactions of people like, oh my god, that was that came before that.
Funny though, because people had such a visceral reaction to this episode, and yet you brought up the perfect episode as an example, but then you have the Red Wedding where literally a pregnant woman is stabbed to death.
Yeah.
And you're okay with that? Like,
I didn't watch Game of Thrones, so I can't say if I was okay with that.
Oh, Game of Thrones is fire.
Yeah.
Just it's interesting to me though, because I think that it really did. I think that the show, I think, stepped back after that, and they were like, I think we need to dial back the violence a little bit in response to the viewers, and they were like, we thought this was what they wanted. And now it's interesting going into the final season because Maggie is now back as a main character. And you have Negan still around. And a lot of this final season is actually, I think that the show tried to step away from anything Negan Glenn related for a long time because they knew that it upset the fandom. And I think that finally, now with Angela at the helm, and now that she's kind of like turned things around, she kind of like made the show into a horror show with the Whisperers. I love that storyline. She's mixed things up from the comics. I think that's when it's at its best. And now finally in this final season, I think that the writers are revisiting that misstep that they took with the audience. And Maggie and Negan are going to be a main focus of at least these first 8 episodes where you are seeing that tension. They are having
Martha and Thomas Wayne.
A confrontation that is unsettling, and it's not. They're going to have like conversations that are not easy to have. If you watch the premiere, I mean, Negan let Maggie fall into a thing of, walkers. And it's interesting because Jeffrey Dean Morgan said he actually called Angela Kang up, the showrunner, right after he read the script for that episode. And he's like, we can't do, like, because they're concerned about how they know how the fans dropped off of the show after season 7 and how they view Negan and all of that stuff. And they're very protective of the characters. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan said that he called up Lauren Cohen and Norman Reedus, like right after he read the script, and he's like, what do you think of this? Like, I don't think that we can do this because I think that the fans are going to be really upset again. So like there was that conscious like awareness, and he went to Angela and she kind of like, she put her foot down and she was like, no, we need to do this. And for a certain reason. And the same, they actually had Negan say Glenn's name to Maggie for the first time.
Oh, wow.
On the season 11 premiere, and Jeffrey was like, that was the second phone call I made to Angela to be like, I don't think I should say this. And then she was like, no, like we got to go there. We got to go because we've been.
You got to make that connection.
Clean it. Yes, got to clean. Yeah. The only clip I haven't seen the episode. I did just see where Carol was just like, yo, if you don't leave, she's gonna kill you. I saw. I did see it.
Carol is like the all-time badass.
Oh yeah. That happened, I think, during the bonus 6 episodes or something. Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Or
when
I can't remember now.
When Carol used to do the, she'd be like, she'd be all scared and afraid, didn't know how to do anything. And really, she's like, she'll just murk everybody.
No, now she'll just
look at the flowers.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, why'd you say that?
That shit was fire, dude.
Night.
That was a very well written. That shit was good. That episode was great.
Man, oh my gosh, Herschel. What I'm waiting for now that Caleb mentioned this, because Herschel's kind of like, Herschel doesn't know that Negan is the person that killed his dad, and I'm kind of waiting for that bomb to drop, because then I'm wondering, is Herschel gonna try to kill Negan? Like, will Negan make it? Like, how are they going? Because I don't know. You don't have Rick anymore on the show, so will someone else get Rick's death? Are they gonna like rework that? Will Negan die? Like, because Negan goes off in the comics and just lives in a cabin for the rest of his days. I'm really interested to see like if Negan even makes it out of this final season alive.
Damn.
Oh, finally. Okay.
I mean, it could be. I mean, at this point, anything can really happen in this show, and I'm glad to hear that that's gotten back on track. And it is, a fun show to watch. And I think I'm definitely gonna have to watch it now. After having this talk with you, I definitely want to see more of The Walking Dead. I did watch, I believe it was season 8, and I thought it was getting better. And then I moved into a whole bunch of other stuff. But I remember I watched it, and I was like, you know what, this is actually getting better because. Right after they introduced Negan, to me, it started getting very repetitive and very, just kind of predictable. And I thought, okay, maybe they kind of lost something. But no, it sounds like they've really done their homework to try to make sure that they're not becoming that kind of show.
Yeah, I never try to push it on to anyone else, but I always tell everyone, look, if you watch the entire series, at least watch 905, see if that intrigues you at all, because that's Rick's final episode.
905, okay.
905.
Joey's like, got it.
905.
All those episodes. Otherwise, the thing that I love to ask people is, as soon as they say to me, like, oh, that show's still on, I'm just like, oh, let me ask you a question. Like, what episode did you drop off of the show? And typically, a lot of people do say it was the Glenn's death episode, or
really
something. Yeah,
that's where it was.
Mine was around there. Yeah.
Yeah, mine was a little past that, but that's the common answer that you always get is right around that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, it was at its peak at that point. I mean, it was like everyone was glued to the screen.
Yeah, and it was a very steep drop off after that, after season 7, episode 1, and some people I think stayed. Yeah, I mean, even see a lot of people were like, season 8. They were like, why is this war being dragged out? Yeah, season 7, 8. That was when people were just like dropping like flies. I get it.
I kind of got fatigued around that point, like when they were in that one. That one protected like subdivision or whatever.
Alexandria.
Complex. Yeah, Alexandria. They're right, and it was like right in there, like towards the end. Like I was just sort of like, oh, okay, I'm kind of done.
Yeah,
and I just never went back. I never even got to what's his face, Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing Negan. I never got there because I lost interest.
Okay, yeah. I can see from a show only viewer point of view where it just comes and you're like, they're just doing the same thing over and over again. And it's funny because when I go and I watch it back many times, I'm like, Rick can kind of be viewed as like destroying every single community he entered.
Yeah. He's everything.
He really has thank God he kind of left. Like Alexandria and the Hilltop wouldn't have been able to thrive maybe if he was still around,
Well, when they first got to Alexandria, that whole sequence I thought was really cool. How he met that one woman who was a mother of 2, and they're all dead. But but like she had the husband who was abusive.
Yep.
And then they get in that fight.
You're into that, huh, Andre?
Well, yeah, I'm into it. No, but they got into that fight, and then he ended up
sick.
He cut the guy's throat.
Rick isn't dead. Rick isn't dead. Sorry,
he's not dead. But at the end, they have the guy pinned down, and the woman who was running Alexandria was like, "Rick, do it!" He just blows his head off. I was like, "God damn!"
Where's Deanna? Who's Deanna? Yeah.
No, I think another thing too. Also, like if The Walking Dead had become uninteresting to you, or you missed an episode or two, like. If it's not like Game of Thrones where there's only 10 episodes in a season, like you can catch up. The Walking Dead, you get behind and it's kind of uninteresting to you. You're like not as compelled to like, let me catch up on this.
It got to the point where it was like really like those other shows like Big Brother or whatever, like who's gonna die this week? Like, and then they do the Talking Dead shit, it's like, hey, here we are, Talking Dead. So such and such died. It's like, and the same thing is like, everybody's a marksman and they always hit their zombies, right dead between the eyes.
It's fiction, Ryan.
I know it's fiction, but they could make it more. They could make it a little bit more interesting. Okay, here we go, Dodson.
Dodson, we've got Dodson here. See, nobody cares.
I'm just saying.
Meeting.
Shut up, bitch.
Okay, but what I'm trying to say,
I'm just saying, you literally have Walking Dead people eating people, and you're worried about marksmanship.
Yeah, okay.
Shut up, bitch.
Same thing. So basically, I mean, you can make it more interesting by like having them miss, a couple times. I mean, or maybe kill them in different ways or whatever. But they were just like
times where they do
walking
miss,
through,
and
and it was kind of like watching the Suicide Squad when like Peacemaker was like shooting them from behind, not even looking, and he's like, I could kill these zombies because it's dope as fuck.
Kirsten, since you've watched the show, you've stayed with the whole show. What is the most memorable scene of the show so far? Like, what was the one scene where you were like, it totally shook you? You're like, wow, this is insane, or this is the most memorable scene that you can think of. I can tell you mine. I have 2.
Yours first, I'm trying to think. Okay, yeah, you tell me yours first.
Mine, the most memorable scene of this series for me, at least, was I believe it was season 2 or season 3. I think season 2. When he opens the barn and he lets all the walkers out and he's shooting them, he's like, "Hey, you think these people are sick?" And then all of a sudden, the little girl comes out, the girl that they've been looking for, and she was in there the whole time. That was huge.
That's my most memorable scene because literally, the first season, me and my wife started watching The Walking Dead in the break in season 2, the mid-season break. So like, wasn't interested in it at all. And one day, I'll tell you what happened. The Packers got beaten in the NFC playoffs.
I'm gonna watch The Walking Dead.
I'm not watching any sports. What do you want to watch? So we watched The Walking Dead. We watched the whole
kind of how they are this year.
Okay, relax. We watched the whole first season, 6 episodes, whatever. We're like, yo, this is kind of fire, right? So all of a sudden we start watching the second season. and I started saying, wait a minute. It's the most memorable moment to me because it was straight spoiled because I didn't watch the show and people were just on Facebook. Yo, I knew she was going to be in the barn. So we got to that episode and
Shane, exactly.
Yeah. Shay, yes, why? So yeah, we got to that episode and he opens the barn and I was like, oh shit. She's going to be in the barn. Like, because it's been spoiled for me because I didn't watch the shows. It didn't matter before that, but yeah.
Well, it was so powerful. It was so powerful because in that one scene, you know, you saw that like Rick and his group, you know, they had basically forgotten that the walkers were once human. And on the flip side, Herschel and everyone, you know, at the farm,
we're keeping them there because
they saw it the other way around. They saw the walkers as humans still. And so now you had both, you know, you had both that coming together all at the same time because now you have a little girl who you were searching for, and now you've realized was there all along. And it was so, my God, that. And then also when, what's her name with the sword? Oh my God. Michonne.
Got you.
When she has a governor's daughter and he's like, don't do it. And I remember my wife and I were like, do it. And she stabs a little girl like right through her mouth. I know. I was like, yeah.
First off, I want the record to show that Andre was cheering for a little girl to get killed in the show.
She was a walker.
Dawson, it's fiction. It's fiction. It's fiction.
I just want to make that known.
It's fiction. Dawson.
It's not the same
it's
thing,
fiction,
Ryan.
Dawson.
So
it's not the same thing, Ryan.
I thought of a few moments. You've helped me think of a few moments.
Okay.
There you go.
I did my job.
Thank you.
Coral. Carol.
I love that people are bringing up Johnny Bernthal. He was great in season 2. He's just so good.
He was.
It's wild with him because he died in the first season.
And so scenes that stick out to me, one, because you brought up Terminus. I love Carol blowing up Terminus. I love that Carol was not killed off of this show. And I talked to Melissa McBride and Scott Gimple about this because they almost did kill her off. She almost had, oh gosh, I can't remember his, and I've been remembering everyone's name, T-Dog's death at the prison.
Wow.
That was supposed to be Carol. Wow. For as much flack as people give Gimple saved Carol and said, like, I think that we should leave her alive because she dies pretty early on in the comics. Mm-hmm. And I think that they did a beautiful story with showing how this meek abuse survivor, you know, was able to become this warrior and how the apocalypse, you know, really built her up and turned her into this strong, it gave her strength. And she had told me, and Norman said this too, because Norman, his character, is also an abuse survivor, Daryl. They both have said that people have come to them over the years and have like thanked them for their characters and have thanked them for the strength that that them playing abuse survivors has helped with them because they see themselves in them. And so oftentimes, you know, people ask why I still write and watch the show like so many years later. And when I've been talking to some of the cast about the legacy of the show, and they're like, it's not even about like the zombies. It's not even like a zombie show. It's about us like finding our people and our community and our family. And they really have built like this little community with like, you know, they call them the Walking Dead family and stuff. And they're like, it's really about just, you know, survival and finding finding people and building your tribe. And that's just, I've heard similar answers from like all of them. Like they're, you know, it has nothing to do with the zombies. And when I think of the other moments that stick out to me on the show, I don't know if you guys remember, tough scene to watch but awesome scene to watch when Rick is ripping out that guy's throat, like bites. Yes, because he needs to save Michonne and his son. At this, like, he does not know what else to do right there. He is at his rope's end, and he just goes complete, like, crazy.
That's another good one.
That was a great scene. Beth getting killed was a moment that shook me. I think that is the most shocking death on the show and it was the most heartbreaking death on the show, I think, because they were searching for her for episodes. They finally find her alive, and right in the moment when she's about to be handed over, she's just,
Gets her head blown off.
When she's killed, the bullet goes, the gun goes off and goes into her head, and then Rick has to.
He's like, he just starts blasting the lady.
But yeah, when he has to go, Daryl and Rick have to walk out of that hospital, and Maggie is right on the other side of those doors. And I think seeing all of them seeing her crumble to the ground, that is still such a difficult episode for me to go back and watch. That moment is still emotional. And then Herschel's death always sticks with me because he gets killed by the governor, and it's not one swift. He kills him, I think, with Michonne's sword, and it's not one swift hit. He's hacking away, and you're like, oh my god, this is horrible.
Oh, I hated the governor so much. I was like, God, I hate this guy. I can't wait.
And he was still he was still zombified, and his head was alive, and they had to put the knife through his head in order to kill him. So I think of those ones, and then I don't think you guys have watched the newer seasons, but I loved there's this twist with this character Dante, who in the comics he becomes a love interest for Maggie, but at that point Maggie was killed off the show. So Dante, they wrote him in as a doctor on season 9, I want to say now. I feel like season 10 played for so long, over 2 years because of the pandemic, that it feels so long ago to me. I feel like it actually could happen in season 10. And then there's a reveal that Dante on the show is a whisperer, as a secret whisperer. And then he starts killing people in Alexandria.
Oh, great.
And you're like, what? Because in the comics, he's a good guy. He's completely a good guy.
So they flipped it. Yeah.
Yeah. So they made him a secret whisperer who infiltrated the, Alexandria, got on their good side, but he was really bad. So I thought that was just something really great, that reveal.
I also like the scene where what's his name, Norman Reedus, his character, has the bazooka and he blows up all those bikers out of nowhere.
That's a great scene. I mean, Carl getting shot in the eye.
Oh yeah, he's gonna die,
and then he didn't die. And then the fact that he survived that, and then they killed him off the show by getting bit by a walker.
Yeah,
that was so unbelievable. I was like, you're telling me that this kid, born of the apocalypse, winds up getting bit? That's how he died?
Yeah, that's.
Well, even Herschel too. I remember he got bit, and then Rick cut his he cut his leg off.
With the swiftness,
But I mean, that scene we were talking about, Beth. I think that's another scene in which you had all those security guards or whatever cops who were there in that hospital. They're armed and they're defending themselves. But once that gun went off, Rick, without hesitation, just bam, he just kills her, and everyone else just stands there like, oh my god, because for Rick, that wasn't hard to do. He's like, what? Bam, you're dead. Yep. While they had to think about what they had to, it just kind of showed the dynamic and the difference between where he's at and where they're at. It's like,
Rick will just walk into your community and take it over. It up.
Even doesn't want to. So, guys, definitely check out The Walking Dead. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
Now I want to catch up. This is a great conversation about it.
Definitely check it out. So, with that, we're going to do another giveaway for Snake Eyes. Guys, this is the next question. And let me bring that up for you guys. Here you go. Name the actor who is playing Snake Eyes in this 2021 film.
I know this.
So the first person who I guess Kirsten.
No, it's okay.
Okay. First person in the comments to respond will get the digital code for Snake Eyes. And let's see. Here we go. So we got Philip Barker. You are our winner. Good job. It is actually.
Isn't his name in the picture?
That's not his name. His name is in the picture. That's not his name. It's close. It's very close. So somebody could swoop in.
Oh my god!
Somebody could swoop in.
There's been a revelation.
Unless he wants to correct himself.
Who's gonna get Snake Eyes?
It was close. I looked at it. I was like, wait a minute.
Dawson.
Dawson.
Yes, I made my cinematic debut as Snake Eyes. Yes.
There you go.
With the helmet on.
So name the actor, and yes, you can use Google. You can listen to these guys and use Google and cheat. But if nobody answers correctly,
they spelled his name differently.
Refer to Kirsten. Okay, well, hey, okay, so Philip actually was. Hold up.
Why somebody say Vito?
There we go. So Bucchiaro got it.
Bucchiaro
got it.
Because Barker spelled it wrong.
He spelled it wrong. So yes, and yes, for everyone at home, yes, the name was on the poster that I flashed 3 times within the within the broadcast. So Bucchiaro, hey, along with Joey and who's the third? Who was the third guy?
The movie guy.
That movie guy.
Yeah.
So hit us up on Twitter, and we'll get you the digital codes.
Yeah, DM
but
the 4Nerds account. DM the 4Nerds account.
The 4Nerds account. Yeah. So actually, I want to switch gears for you here because I know that you went to Disneyland, right? And you checked out this place here.
I did.
Okay. Yeah. Great. So this is the Avengers.
That's her right there.
That's her. There she is. She's right there. She's up front, ready to go. Tell us about your experience here and how you actually got to go to this. I mean, was it like a at the inception, the first release, or did you just end up going, at some point on your own?
All of the above. So
got it.
Right. So before the pandemic, I had gone out to Disneyland on March 6th, 2020, and I remember that date just because it was one of the last in-person events that I did, and I feel like that's etched in your mind. Like I feel like you can ask everyone, what was the last in-person thing that you did, before the world changed. So Friday, March 6th, I went to Disneyland. There was a press invite where a few of us were doing a hard hat tour of Avengers Campus, meaning it wasn't finished. We were just getting a little tour to just go around and find out what it was going to look like. Nothing was paved yet. There was rebar sticking out of the ground. But they were just showing us and telling us what we could expect when it was finished, because it was supposed to open last July. So that was pretty cool. They just gave we got to try food out way back in March 2020 that was supposed to open for July. So we tried giant pretzels, stuff that was going to be at the Pym Test Kitchen, which is the main restaurant in Avengers Campus. Avengers Campus sits in, so if you've ever been to, or if you've never been to Disneyland Resort in Anaheim, it's split into 2 parks. You have Disneyland, and then you have Disney California Adventure, and Avengers Campus sits in Disney California Adventure, where the Guardians of the Galaxy ride is. The Guardians of the Galaxy ride is a revamp that took over the Tower of Terror.
Yeah, Tower of Terror, right? Yeah, because I was there 2 years ago, and they had the walls up. It was Stark Industries, and they were building something. Right. We were like, oh wow, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah. And so that's what Avengers Campus is tacked onto, and now that whole area is supposed to be the Avengers, basically land, right? Avengers Campus, and so I went back. March 6th was a press day for all of the people that over a year ago had gone and done the hard hat tour. We literally had to wear hard hats, and we had to put it was so secretive. We had to put our phones into
plastic bags.
I don't remember if we put them in plastic bags because it was so long ago. But yeah, basically, they didn't want us to take any photos or whatever. So we had to wear these ridiculous gloves, and we had to wear goggles. I don't have any photos.
So do you remember seeing anything? It just seems like we had to wear a hazmat suit, and so we had a shield, and then we had another barricade,
a riot shield.
A riot shield.
The most useful thing from that day was that when we were trying out food, they actually handed out small bottles of Purell, and who knew how much I was going to be thankful to have the real brand, the real stuff.
Right.
2 weeks, because then you couldn't find Purell anywhere, and I was.
They had it all.
Little for months on end. Anyway, I digress. So it was the first week of June, I believe. I was invited this June to go back and see the completed Avengers Campus finally, because they didn't work on it for a long time last year because they had to like shut everything down.
Right.
And I think that they only gave us a small amount of time to run through and do the press preview. So it was kind of like, and that's how I wrote my story at the time, because I was like, how do I do a thorough review of, they were basically showing us,
they're shoving you through the campus. Like, come on, here we go. She's like, oh, this is great, I gotta go.
That's exactly what it was like. So
be sure to make a good review.
It was a chaotic morning where they gave you like 2 hours or less to like try and experience everything. Like, no one else was really there, but they just kind of let you go run free. I didn't realize, it's so funny because I was actually supposed to have like a Disney partner, like someone with me for the morning to like actually guide me through things and like, you know, make sure I was able to see everything. And I didn't know that for the first hour. So I was just off and doing my stuff on my own. And then I found someone and they were like, where's your buddy? And I was like, what buddy? And then they were like,
buddy?
Oh my God,
the buddy system.
They're like, you find your person. And then like they found me, and then it was good and it was fine. And like I got through everything else. But anyway, so my morning was basically, I don't remember what time I arrived. Let's say it was like in between 8 and 9 in the morning. And then I basically was trying to watch, there's a Doctor Strange live show. There's the Black Panther crew. Oh gosh, the Wakandan women. I can't think of her name right now.
Oh, I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
The Doge Malaj. Doge Malaj. Gosh, I'm gonna butcher it. Am I correct right now? Am I thinking of Walking Dead? You know who I mean.
Yes, I know who you mean.
Yes, the Wakandans that were in Walking Dead. Yeah, we know. Nope.
Ryan's such a.
They're like, no, look, I killed him.
I literally have the I have the internet in front of me. The Dora Milaje.
Yes.
Them come out and they did this badass performance. We got to see Spider-Man swing and like do his thing. Like he comes out and he does a performance.
So was it Toby or was it Andrew or all three?
All three.
Let the woman talk.
I knew it.
Let her talk.
No, that was definitely Tom Holland, and the whole land is supposed to. It's funny because we had all asked like when is this supposed to take place, because you see like Tony Stark exists and stuff in the park, and we're like, is he back and alive here? And their like fun answer at Disney is just that it's like, well, the multiverse, and I'm like, what is that? Okay, is this like a different Earth going on right here? Anyway, so I kind of just like, they're like, this does not exist within time and space. But I'm like, whatever. So anyway, you can see characters that are alive or dead here or whatever. It doesn't matter. So it just don't think too hard. Don't think about like, but Avengers Endgame. It's whatever.
The multiverse.
Yeah. The multiverse. That's the answer. So there are a few different live shows that I got to see. Like Black Widow and Taskmaster were like fighting. They were the opening characters because Black Widow was coming out.
Yeah.
And I think that they rotate the characters that are in the park depending on what
movies that are coming out.
Exactly, what movies and shows. Look, Disney has this down. They're like, oh, Loki's out right now. Let's use this as a giant ad for Loki. Like, so they actually had, depending on what week, because one of my friends works at Disneyland, and he was showing me that there would be, they would dress Loki up differently every single week, depending on what was happening in that episode every week. So
that's awesome.
You would see like President Loki maybe one week walking through Avengers Campus, or you would see variant like the TVA version of him, just like with the little suit on, or you would just see like regular Loki.
Alligator Loki?
I don't know about I mean,
that would have been awesome.
I told them that they need to make an alligator Loki stuffed animal, so I'm sure they're on it.
They definitely need to.
But,
I shared screen too, Ryan. If you want to show this.
Hold on 1 second. Just for everybody, that one. So here it is. Here's what you showed me.
Oh, yeah.
That's Holland. No, wait. No.
Anyway,
Yeah,
that was what she actually filmed. Yeah.
I was going to say that looks very familiar.
He's actually broken onto your computer and he's controlling your.
So yeah, that was the very end of the presentation of his little show. I think it's like a 5-minute long show where he does this like amazing flip through the air, and then he crawls down, and then he comes down, and everyone can go and take photos with him. So the morning I was there, though, I went and I immediately ran to the Web Slingers attraction, which is the Spiderman ride that's very tough to get on because normally you need to go on your phone and you need to like push a button in the app to try to like get a reservation at either 7 a.m. or 12 p.m. Like you can literally buy a ticket to Disneyland, try to show up, and if you don't hit that button and get a reservation on your phone at 7 a.m. or noon, you're not riding that ride. Like you can't.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
get in line. You need to be able to sit. Yep, and there's the Dora Milaje.
Wow, look at that.
Right, how badass is that?
I'm going really there cool. at the end of or beginning of November, so I'm really excited to see this.
Oh my gosh, so many. If you need recommendations on how to get on that ride, just please hit me up because I helped one of my friends.
Yeah, definitely.
I told them where to park. I was like, please do not park in the regular Disney parking lot. Like instead, I recommend that everyone go to there's a garden, like little outside mall that's like pretty close by Disney within walking distance. I've recommended like park in there. It's actually I think like cheaper or about the same price to just park your car in this other parking garage that's like down the road, and it's a much shorter walk. And I say that because Disneyland does not have the trams available, so they're currently making everyone who parks at Disneyland, you need to walk like a mile. Oh, the food. They're making everyone walk like a mile and a half to get into Disney. So
look at that!
Wow,
sandwiches in my tiny baby hands.
That's
these
cool. Look at that.
Photos. So in like the 90 or 2 hours, whatever I was given to run around, I just tried to do everything. Mm-hmm. And by everything, I mean, like, I went into the Web Slingers ride, which I don't know how familiar you are with the ride, but it's really cool. You wear these 3D glasses, but it basically transforms you into Spider-Man, where it's a game. So if you've ever played Toy Story Mania, you know how that's like,
I played that.
Yeah. So this is a game in a similar sense, but there's no controller. You are the controller. And all you do is you just go like that, and webs come out of your hand. Like they're on the screen. The webs like magically just appear on the screen. So there's a tracker that tracks you, like, I don't remember how many times per second, but it tracks your motion all the way like down from like your arm, so that it knows where you're aiming and stuff. And then you see the webs pop up on the screen. And what you're trying to do is there are all these little spider bots. There are these little, you basically go into, you're walking into where Peter Parker and a whole bunch of his like friends from throughout the MCU, like a bunch of people who are his age. So you have Riri, who's going to become Ironheart. You saw like basically, Keener, I'm trying to remember, Harley Keener, who was in Iron Man 3. He's like a little more grown up now. He had a little cameo in Avengers Endgame.
At
the funeral scene. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you see a lot of these kids from the different movies, like the Ant-Man's daughter as well. You like notice her name on a locker and stuff, but all these kids are basically together at this in this building where they're just allowed to like collaborate and work together on cool science experiments, and you're being welcomed into an open house where they're supposed to be showing off some fun projects that they worked on. And of course, you know, the project that Tom Holland was working on with other people, like things go awry, and all the little spider bots just start going like these little tiny spider bots are taking over Avengers Campus and are like threatening to take over. So you need to, on the ride, help Spider-Man round up and like disable and kill.
How many times did you ride this ride?
Many times.
I was gonna say,
yeah, because she was like, kill.
Top score.
I'm very competitive. So like, basically, when you're on this ride, it's a workout. You need to do this very, very, very fast. So fast. So on my own, I've been able to get a score of like over 300,000. I really need more people in my cart because they do the score collectively, and I want to be like on the leaderboard for the day, and I can't get over 1 million by myself. But I know a lot of the ins and outs of like, there's so many little secrets of like, you got to hit certain things and you're taken to like 4 different rooms. Mm-hmm. And by the 4th room, oh my gosh, if you've been like going like this, then you're just like so tired. And like,
I just see like the medics, you know, just sort of like staffed on the outside of the ride. Like, okay, who's going to drop?
Yeah. So, but that ride's really fun. I recommend, like, if you can get on it, like, you got to be really fast on the app, you know, in the morning and stuff. It's probably easier to get on a weekday.
So you're saying that Ryan wouldn't be able to do this?
Yeah, Ryan.
I do it, and I do it well.
I need to go with someone who's really good at using technology, I guess.
Well, he's got Matt.
Well,
his son Matt, yeah.
But yeah, so you also got to see Shang-Chi in theaters, right? And what was your impression of that movie?
That movie? Well, I was just going to say really quickly, by the way, I also ate a bunch of food that you saw on, you guys were scrolling through. Mm-hmm. It was all good. Like the chicken sandwich was probably my favorite. And I really recommend, like, they have a bunch of like, you know, adult beverages and stuff there. And everything that I had was like basically.
There you go, Anthony.
Like, we're having so much fun and then serious.
So, but anyway, that morning I was just running around and basically like trying to run Spiderman Ride as many times as possible, and then trying to shove as much like food into my face as possible because I was just trying to try everything. Like I tried shawarma. I felt so bad because like I would order, you were able to just like grab as much food as you wanted to. And I was just like taking bites of things. And I was like, I don't have time. I can't physically eat all of this as one person, although I'd love to. And I just felt so wasteful that day. And it really made me think of like how awfully privileged like some of these press people are, where these people were just like they would order every single thing to like do their Instagram picture or their influencer shit. Wow. But then you have like, you're so wasteful. Like,
and then it just ends up in the compost. Yeah.
And I even said to like my Disney person, I was like, I really wish that like this wasn't how this was. Like, cause I don't like it. And you know, and you could tell that they're like, yeah, this is like just how this is. Because, and I say that because literally right outside of Disneyland, when you're walking out of there, it's just, there are a lot of homeless people in that area. And like being in LA, like you see so many, you know, the homeless problem really became a big thing, you know, even worse out here during the pandemic. And it just made me feel icky. I did not like the aspect of that morning.
I can relate to that because when I lived in LA for a couple of years, like I just saw like all the homelessness that was happening there, all the tent cities and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a big problem out there. So, I mean, maybe they could put some together out there where like the food that's wasted, just, I don't know, like, find a way to get some people who really need it.
You know, like when you see an answer to a problem, you know, you're kind of just like, why don't you just do, you know? So, but yeah, so that was my experience with running around Avengers Campus that day. I have seen Shang-Chi. I've seen it twice now.
Oh, nice.
I absolutely love this film. I think I knew when I instantly walked out of this film that I loved it. And I'll say the first time I walked out of Suicide Squad, I wasn't sure how I felt about Suicide Squad. And then it took me 2 watches of Suicide Squad to go, oh no, I really love this film. And this is actually like a really smart comic book film. You just like, you got to like sit and think about this film. But Shang-Chi, oh my gosh. Like, I think a lot of people are probably wondering, like, can this character stand on his own? Does he need the other, like, Avengers that, like, you know, to back him? No, this guy's going to be one of everyone's, like, favorite new heroes, I think. And
yeah, it does look good. It does look good from the trailer. Yeah.
Best action scenes of any Marvel movie, easily. Like, so different and so unique in that it felt like the choreography is amazing. Like, I don't know if you guys watched like Warrior on HBO.
Yes.
Huge, you know, a proponent of Warrior. Kind of reminded me of that, but also just very beautiful, and where some scenes it just felt like poetry in action. And I say that because some of the fight sequences felt like dances. It was just like,
well, it pretty much is a dance, and choreography, because it's rhythm, pattern. You have to be at your mark. It's just like a dance. So I mean, that's what, and the really good ones are the ones that work. So if this worked for you, that was really good, choreography.
From the first one, there are all these scenes flashing through my mind right now, and there are. I think that it probably has one of Marvel's best villains, because I think that he is so fleshed out. Wenwu, who is Shang-Chi's father in the film, very three-dimensional. I'm very glad that they really made him feel very human. Feel like someone who you can empathize with. So many kick-ass women. Does Iron Fist show up at the end? No.
You heard? Dawson was like, "Oh, forget it."
I don't say no, but I will say, like, there are 2 end credit scenes. The thing that threw me off with this film was that, like, I was already loving it, and then there's one part where I was a little concerned, where it takes such like a hard right turn at one point, and then like things get weird.
Because they were on the bus.
Yeah, they're in. No, they're in a different vehicle. But
the wheels of the bus went round and round, and everything went right.
It's funny. No, I'm being both like literal. Like, I'm using those words on purpose, because it takes a hard right, and where they actually are taking a hard right at one point in the film.
Got it.
Take a hard right, and
such a hard right that Dawson had to leave.
I was trying to be clever so that when you go and see the film, you'll be like, "Oh crap, that's what she was talking about right there." But it gets weird, and it gets magical, and it gets mystical, and then I don't want to say anything like too much to like give things away, but I was just like,
"But how does it end?
What is going on right now?" And at first I was like, "Do I like this?" And then I was like, "Oh yeah, I do like this, and I like where this is going." And I think that it sets up a lot of like, just I think we're going to see things get a lot more weird and a lot more magical in the rest of Phase 4. And I think I tweeted this out right after I got out of the film. I was like, if this is the direction of Phase 4. Like, give me Eternals, like, give me Doctor Strange, like, I'm here for it.
Okay.
Like, really liked it.
Our good friend Jesse Allen in the chat is here right now. Hello, Jesse. He's all from Australia.
He's a great supporter.
He's a great supporter. Thank you, Jesse Allen, always from Australia.
Well, while he's here, I guess we can do our last question of the evening for our Snake Eyes giveaway, digital codes for the film. This right here. So if you guys are interested and would like a digital code, and yes, Barker, you can try again. So we have one more question for you, and this is for all those diehard G.I. Joe fans, or just people who really like Snake Eyes. But what is the name of Snake Eyes' pet wolf?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yes.
So the first one in the chat that gets it correct and spells it correctly will win the last digital code for the evening.
Grammar is a huge thing.
Grammar,
and apparently,
we emphasize that.
We emphasize it. Yes,
we emphasize it.
And so, is this something that you know, Kirsten? Do you know the answer to this question here? You knew so many of the other questions.
This is the one that got her. This is the one.
I stumped her.
Anthony Bell.
Here we go, Anthony. Yeah, there you go. So you are our final winner. Congratulations. It is Timber. It is Timber. So that's his name. Fantastic. We have 4 winners. Congratulations again, guys. Hit us up on Twitter, on the 4Nerds Twitter account, and we'll send out your digital codes for the Snake Eyes movie. So thank you so much.
4 because it's 4 nerds, or did you just have 4?
It's because it's 4 nerds.
Yes, 4 nerds.
It's because 4 nerds. Yeah.
We'll pretend that we're clever enough.
Yes.
For that.
Yeah.
Whichever way makes us look
kind of like that hard right turn. That was
like, exactly.
I've had that happen to me before, where I've asked, like, when I'm doing interviews for something, I've asked other people, like creatives, directors or whoever. I'm like, "Oh, did you do this because of this?" And they're like, no, but I'm now going to tell people. And I'm like, I'm just, okay.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because the last thing that we wanted to ask you about was you had a chance to interview James Gunn for the Suicide Squad.
I got to ask him a question during.
Okay.
What was the question?
Yeah. I asked him about Polka Dot Man.
You got a chance to interview him too, right?
I got to speak with David Desmalchian, who plays Polka Dot Man, and we had a really emotional conversation. He really opened up about a personal connection to, because I had asked James Gunn about why he chose Polka Dot Man when he's such an obscure villain from Batman's DC Rogues Gallery, and he gave me the answer basically of just saying that and he had talked about this a little bit before, but I wanted to see if he would expand on it. But he was like, I wanted to take one of the dumbest supervillains, basically, in the DC. Hey, DC talk. Yeah, I love DC. We love Marvel, but I love DC, and I love Disney. So I'm Walking Dead. So we're talking about every single thing that I love today, which is
there you go.
I never get to talk about all these things at once. So James had basically said that he wanted to take a character who was basically a joke, and he wanted in the DC verse, and just make him a character that everyone was going. He wanted to give him a tragic backstory that was basically going to tear you apart, and he wanted to make you care about this character. And the thing that David Desmalchian had told me, who plays Polka Dot Man, Abner Krill. I almost prefer calling him Abner Krill more now after our conversation, because I didn't realize how personal this role was for him. And he had told me that when he grew up with vitiligo, where you have spots and stuff on your skin. And this was a very personal role for him, because he said that he grew up being bullied and being called spots and polka dots, and he was making me cry, I hold back tears as he was talking about this, because it was so unexpected. And so then my question was did James know that when he was writing this role, which is so mind blowing to me, right? And I had reached out to James's publicist to be hey, because at first I reached out to Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers was like, oh my gosh, that's such an interesting, we didn't know that. And they were like, I don't know the answer. And so I reached out to Gunn's publicists, and I was like, was James aware of this? Did this serve as inspiration at all for him writing, this role maybe for David Desmalchian? And they came back to me, and they were like, no, this just happened to be,
coincident. Yeah.
That's what they went with. And honestly, that's kind of, if I was a PR person, I would say that's a good PR story. But I don't really know, because I haven't heard directly speak about it. But I thought that made it that much more powerful. And Polka Dot Man, I thought that James did such a great job at making you care about every single one of these characters in the film. I went in, I remember for the second Suicide Squad film, I loved DC, grew up watching Batman the Animated Series. I think we've talked about this stuff before. And I wanted to love this film so much. And I love Guardians of the Galaxy is one of my favorite Marvel movies on its own. And I love how James usually, music is so integral to his films. So I went into this, and I was I felt very burned in 2016, watching the original Suicide Squad film. So I was hoping for the best with this one. And I was why do we have such random characters in this film? And I was I don't know if I'm going to care about any of these characters. And by the end of the film, by the end of my first watch, I was I love every single one of these characters. And I think someone had said to me earlier today, they were I don't even think you needed to have Harley Quinn in this movie. Because she's kind of off on her own adventure for so long.
Yeah, which almost distracts from the main story if you think about it. Almost kind of does that.
And I think that they needed to separate Harley from everyone else in order to get you to fall in love with these other characters, because Harley's such a larger than life character that anytime she's on screen, it becomes the Harley show, right? Harley is kind of like Negan in the sorts of they're so larger than life that anytime that they're on screen, you're just paying attention to them. And if you would have overtaken any scene where you're trying to learn more about Polka Dot Man, learn more about Bloodshot, learn more about Peacemaker, And so I really do believe it didn't hit me until like the second time I was watching the film. I was like, I think that's why it was done in this way. Because at first I wasn't sure if I was crazy about some of the pacing in the film. The first time I watched it, I was like, when are we the villain? When are we like whatever? And it wasn't until my second watch that like I picked up on all these little things where I was like, oh shoot! Like, are we allowed to just go full spoilers because it's been out for a while?
No,
yeah, we're totally fine.
Yes, no, red flag dies.
Red flag dies.
That hit me so much harder. Like, I didn't know I was going to care about Rick Flag so much in this film. Like,
before or after you saw it actually go into the heart? That was like the only scene.
Like, he is dead. You know what I mean?
He's dead.
Come on.
I mean, I was really hoping that he was going to be the character in the end credits scene that was being brought back to life, and not
me too.
Yes.
Me too.
Yes,
that would have been better. And also mentioning like characters, like I think Bacallaro had it in the chat. I've said this a couple different times. I feel like, for me personally, I feel like they should have made a HBO Max miniseries of Polka Dot Man instead of Peacemaker, just because of how interesting Polka Dot Man was.
Yeah, he's more interesting.
I mean, I had asked David that question. I was like, have you had any talks about I should like drop you, see if I could, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to find it this quick. But anyway, there's a video. It's, I think I shared it on Twitter somewhere where I had asked David specifically about this, whether or not he's had talks about any potential spin-off shows. And I mentioned that James Gunn has said that he had ideas for other ones that like hadn't been discussed yet out loud. And David like makes this little like face, like, you know, and he's like, I haven't had any conversations, you know, or anything about things now. But when I said that James has said that there are other ideas he has out there, you know, he kind of went like, oh, did you find it? Polka Dot Man, a character you'd love to dive into and play. Again, I feel like we only scratched the surface on his trauma and backstory. I know there's a Peacemaker show coming. James Gunn has teased he had ideas for more Suicide Squad spinoffs. Is this something you've had any talks about?
That look.
I don't think I've had any talks about ever, but
like,
I mean, unless you consider talks being the conversations I have with myself late at night when I'm laying there going, I can't believe I'm going to be in the James Gunn Suicide Squad movie. I can't believe I'm part of the DCEU now. I can't believe that I'm Polka Dot Man. Yeah, trust me, I've written 4 million of my own comics starring Abner Krillin. Yeah, I loved getting to bring him to life, and it would be amazing if I ever got the chance to put the polka dots on again. Who knows? Life is crazy, right? Who knows? If you told me that I'd be sitting here having this interview with you, I'm in Berlin, Germany right now, making a movie that I can't believe is my life. Like, it's really crazy.
Yeah, that look was very much an actor saying, I don't want to say something I shouldn't.
Yeah, he's really honestly like the nicest guy. I wish that I was able to like chat with him a bit more, because we have like 10 minutes together, and I felt like we barely even like scratched the surface on just like talking about that role, because I really wanted to like get him back to like have more of a spoiler-free conversation, but I know that he's been like so busy also like filming and stuff, and then I got really busy doing some other stuff, and I was just like, it's okay. But
you probably would have liked to ask him about Dune too.
It's so funny because at the very end of our chat, he actually had said like, "Oh yeah, I hope we talk again in August. I hope we talk in October," and he was like referencing Dune. So there's always that opportunity, you know, down the line.
There you go.
And so, what'd you think of Dune?
I've not seen Dune yet. It's funny. I'm not on the Dune beat. I've never read Dune. We have one of my colleagues, Libby, is obsessed with Dune. That's going to be her baby. I actually have the Dune. There's like a graphic novel or something. Like they redid it as a graphic novel, and I
want to get that so bad. I want to get it so bad.
He's all about it
right now. I haven't.
Do you want to see Dune?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You're like, no. Oh my god.
What kind of question is that? Of course not.
No, I love The Rival. I've watched all Denis Villeneuve's films, so yeah.
No, definitely. And then going back to the Suicide Squad, I mean, I love what they did. Going back to Polka Dot Man. Yeah, I thought he was the most fleshed out character, and he was the one I actually cared almost the most about. I mean, I didn't want to see Rick Flag go down. I didn't want to see Captain Boomerang go down. But that's kind of how it played out. I can't do anything about it now. But Polka Dot Man, I was like, cool. I hope they keep him around. And then he got squished. But
he survived the squish.
He survived the squish.
Yeah.
But,
so him and Rick Grimes are gonna make their way.
Rick Grimes are making a movie together. But the thing I liked about his character was that the way they developed his character, and like for instance, how at one point he like goes kind of off screen, you see all those colors flashing in the background. You're like, whoa, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, right.
And then he comes back. Yeah, there was things like that, and you're like, "You all right? Yeah, I'm fine." So it kind of leaves you to wonder, like, okay, hey, what's going on with this guy?
Yeah.
How did he drain them? Like I have
very
specific questions. Like, I want to know more about the mom. I want to know, are his other siblings alive? Like,
the sibling.
Yeah. The Condiment King. Where's he at?
But that's what's so cool about his character that I like so much about it.
This guy, Chris Killian, who's over at Comic Book, like dressed up as Condiment King pretty convincingly, and then like talked to James Gunn as he was dressed up as Condiment King, and I thought it was pretty funny.
Dang, that's pretty cool.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, we did talk a lot about some good topics here. I'm glad that you had a good time with us. We are past the 2-hour mark. I do want to thank everybody in the chat, all the winners from the Snake Eyes digital giveaway. And where can everybody find you on the social media platforms to watch your interviews?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, all of my interviews you can find on insider.com. Right now, since Walking Dead is on, if anyone on here cares about Walking Dead at all, I usually tweet live episodes on Sunday nights. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm on Twitter at Kirsten Acuna, so that's my name, just no space on Twitter. And then, I'm going to have interviews rolling out with, I've already had some interviews rolling out with like the cast and the showrunner, but I should have something new every single Sunday night if you're really into like Walking Dead stuff. And then, I don't know, into the fall, I'll probably be like looking at Eternals will be on my radar. But yeah, for right now, it's like Walking Dead stuff all the time, and maybe some stuff coming up. If you're really into Halloween, maybe some theme park stuff. So
okay,
there we go.
Well, there you heard it here first, guys.
Exclusive
Halloween special for Kirsten Acuna. Get ready for it. But thank you again for coming on here and just kind of hamming it up with us for a little bit. And again, thank the audience, guys. You can also catch our show on Spotify. If you go to the Nerdy in Many Ways channel, he has all the episodes uploaded there, and this one will be included as well. I'll get that over to him
here before the end of the week.
Yes, it definitely should. I'm pretty good about getting the episodes over to him.
Well, you're better than some people.
I'm not good at it.
So no, you're not.
As soon as we're done, I close everything down and leave.
I know.
But guys, we have a show, all four of us, on Thursdays, but we also have individual shows as well, and pretty much one every day. So here we go.